Nancy looked around. There was nothing in reach she could heave at Winchester, and she couldn't tip the table over because it was bolted to the floor. She could see that Winchester was attempting to appear calm, but sweat was pouring down his face. Her only hope was to goad him into doing something stupid. "Why did you kill Tom?" Nancy asked suddenly. Winchester seemed startled. He nervously wiped away the sweat that was trickling down into his eyes. "I'm really curious," she said innocently.
"That no-good bum," Winchester said. "He was squeezing me dry. I bought him off at first, but he kept raising his demands. Every time we met, he asked for more money. He didn't deserve to live."
"Did you meet him Friday night, planning to kill him?"
"No," Winchester wiped his face again. "I told him enough was enough, but he insisted on more money, and I lost my temper."
"So you fought, and—" Nancy waited.
"He had a hammer. I was only defending myself. I got it away from him and threw it."
"Then what happened?" she asked.
"He came at me, and I fought back. Somehow his head hit the rock wall, then he stopped moving."
"If it was self-defense," Nancy said softly, "I'm sure a jury—"
"No jury. The press would find out about the bribes. My career would be ruined."
In spite of Winchester's fury, he managed to keep the gun steady. She had to keep him talking until Jim showed up. "How did Tom find out you were accepting the bribes?" she asked.
"He was working on the boat, fixing the roller jib, when I had a visitor. He must have spied on us, listened in through the hatch. He should have kept his nose out of my business."
"But don't you see, you didn't plan to kill him," Nancy said reasonably. "If you confessed, I'm sure you'd get a light sentence, and then—"
"And then what? I'm a politician. I'd never hold office again. I wouldn't even be able to practice law. I'd have nothing."
The gun wavered slightly, and Nancy tensed, wondering if she could throw herself across the table before he could pull the trigger. Out of the corner of her eye, she saw Hannah shake her head slightly, signaling no. She realized Hannah was in a better position to jump Winchester if he could be distracted long enough. "Why did you pay Hank to run me off the road?" Nancy pressed. "Was he supposed to kill me?" Winchester laughed harshly.
"No, just give you a good scare. That's what the man putting in the sliding window was supposed to do, too. Of course, I had no idea what an irritating pest you'd turn out to be."
Nancy realized that Hannah was on the edge of her seat, her eyes fixed on the gun. Could she cover the 6 feet that separated her from the congressman fast enough to knock it out of his hand? Winchester suddenly noticed Hannah, too.
"That's enough, Miss Gruen. I know what you're planning, and you can forget it. Now I'll tell you what I'm planning. My only hope is to get out of this country on the yacht."
"It's a long way to international waters," Nancy said.
"But I'll make it, because I have your friend, Miss Gruen, here."
Winchester suddenly strode across the cabin and jerked Hannah to her feet, pressing the gun barrel into the back of her neck. Hannah gave out a muffled cry. "Let her go," Nancy said. "Take me instead."
"Oh, you're coming too, Miss Drew, at least part of the way. But first, you will do exactly as I say, won't you?"
"Yes," she said, knowing that if she didn't, Hannah would die.
"First, get up on deck."
Gripping Hannah tightly, he followed Nancy, stopping at the foot of the companionway, where he could watch her every move. Under orders, Nancy disconnected the gas hose, started up the motor, and cast off the mooring lines. She kept scanning the dock and parking lot, but there was still no sign of Jim.
"Hurry up," Winchester hissed. "Put the engine in gear and head for the mouth of the harbor."
Nancy did what she was told. The yacht made a graceful turn and soon slid down the narrow passage between the 2 long stone breakwaters that led out to sea. They cruised right past the Coast Guard station. but the fear in Hannah's eyes kept Nancy from signaling for help. The ocean swells were heavy, long, and rolling. After a while, Winchester ordered, "Head into the wind and raise the mainsail." Nancy removed the canvas cover and winched the huge sail up the mast. When she finished, she realized that Winchester and Hannah had vanished. But then a door slammed shut below, and Winchester came up on deck, the gun leveled at her. "What did you do with Hannah?" Nancy demanded.
"She's quite comfortable, I assure you."
He checked the sails.
"Nice work, Miss Drew. It's a pity I can't hire you as crew. Unfortunately, you've served your purpose, and now it's time for you to jump ship."
Nancy glanced at the shore, guessing they were at least a mile out to sea.
"Over you go,"
he said, pushing her. Slowly, Nancy climbed up on the outer deck, stepping over the lifelines. Winchester stood close behind her. "Is Hannah all right?" she asked.
"She will be if no one tries to follow me. If someone does, you'll never see your friend again."
Nancy tried to swallow, but couldn't. Then Winchester swung the gun. It caught her on the side of the head, and she went plummeting into the cold, choppy sea.